listening to The Verge, a thought leadership series by Divergent. I'm your host, Shaillee Juneja. This series is for healthcare leaders and organizations navigating the journey to digital transformation in the ever changing landscape of our healthcare industry. Our goal in the series is to bring to you disruptive success strategies for healthcare organizations leveraging our experience and having worked with some of industry's top experts and thought leaders. Before we get into today's episode, I'd like to invite you to leave us a review and let us know what you think about the episode and questions that are top of your mind. With that, I'd like to welcome back my colleague Sarah Brandt into our conversations on digital ecosystem, building and optimizing digital strategy. Sarah, welcome back.
Hi, so glad to continue the discussion.
Oh, I have much enjoyed our conversation in the last three episodes, and I know, Sarah, this is a topic both you and I are extremely passionate about. Digital transformation is a journey. It's a journey of leveraging new innovative technologies to acquire, engage, or retain patients. It also is an opportunity to meet the evolving needs of the market landscape in the healthcare industry. And one of the biggest shifts that's required is a culture shift from traditional implementation methodologies, which could be waterfall or others, to perhaps something like an agile methodology. Innovation framework requires our healthcare technology leaders to lead the culture shift in terms of introducing and scaling the concept of agility for interactive and iterative progress. Sarah, your thoughts on it? I know you're very passionate about this.
I am. So, right, we can have the best technology and the best roadmaps, but if our folks aren't bought in and kind of able to pivot and iterate, I think the digital strategy has difficulty really launching and being sustained. So, when we think about digital transformation and what's that mindset that we need to inspire in our culture, we do have to just acknowledge where are we? We
Mhm.
know that some organizations are more progressive, they've dealt with more change, and that's okay. It helps us figure out then how do we plan the appropriate strategies. Others maybe have more traditional methodologies or less competition, so they're not pivoting as often. And so it's really about kind of taking that mindset from from a landscape, right? In healthcare, we're really focused on regulation, compliance, audits, all of that.
Mhm.
And so helping folks see that what we're building in digital strategy still allows us to make sure that we're doing everything safely and
Mhm.
with quality in mind, but it's just accelerating what we can do. And when we look at the rapid adoption and pace at which technology advances, we really need to adapt our practices along with that and in our mindset, right? That growth mindset that we hear about so often, to let us kind of keep pace alongside the technology. What's also exciting and a little bit of an aside is we hear often that folks are burnt out, but they want to see things change. They're so frustrated. Really having that digital strategy and knowing that you can position yourself as an organization that is open to change, that has a group of innovative folks who want to change and keep up with the pace of innovation and technology is really key in helping to also attract great talent.
Absolutely. And I was reflecting back, I think this was our perhaps first or second episode, I believe, when we talked about coming in, laying out where you are, what is your digital footprint as it is today, and what it should look like tomorrow, and what the path looks like. A big component of that is really assessing the cultural readiness of that, the cultural readiness, the ability to incorporate business agility. So again, for technology leaders, this is an opportunity to really step outside their traditional roles and lead the culture change management in the organization. Because it is really about true business agility, true ability to adapt the processes, the constant changing needs of the consumers, of the healthcare organization, and as the innovative technologies we're introducing in matures, because some of them is very new. So really it's a new mindset of leveraging agility for scalability. And I know, just as the term digital front door is perhaps overused, the second term that's overused and maybe not consistently understood is agile. How do you turn your organization to adopt more of agile methodology, agile mindset? Have you come across that, Sarah? as you work with
Yeah,
clients?
and I think other folks have probably read similar things. We do see the word agile all over, and we often see it in the sense of an individual team or as an agile process or an agile practice. But what we really are looking for is how do we get this to scale? Again, the pace of technology and digital solutions is not slowing down by any means. So it's not enough anymore to just have an agile
Mhm.
process team individual. We're really looking for that enterprise wide ability to flex and to be agile in that broader context. And so when we think about that across the environment, it causes us to have to shift of, okay, what does that agility really look like? It means we may have to suspend looking at things as large projects and phases. We have to
Mhm.
get more comfortable with the concept of iteration. Again, still being safe and keeping quality in mind, but that really is quite a shift. But I'm sure my clients sometimes get sick of me saying, okay, but how will that scale?
Yeah.
But it is really important to me to at least plant that question for folks. And that's where this concept of true business agility does allow you to really scale, right? And the more our teams are flexible and the more folks or even our stakeholders, business owners understand the concept of iteration, it does allow us to move much more quickly. And then, as we've seen, especially through the pandemic, regulations, needs change. So, if we really adapt this true business agility and flexibility, the concept of iteration, it gets folks more comfortable of not knowing what may be coming a month from now or 2 months from now, but builds that trust that we will be able to scale to meet their needs and we have the teams and the processes there to do that.
And I want to bring back something, Sarah, you we talked about in the last episode, which is leveraging the voice of customer in this journey. And as I hear you talk about building the business agility, building the mindset of accepting and being comfortable with iterative progress. I think, again, I want to sort of underscore the importance of leveraging the voice of customers as we are going through it, because it is not about just realizing the changing landscape of operational needs, policies, regulation, but really having your finger on the pulse of what are the changing needs of the consumer, looking through their lens. And how do you prepare yourself to really pivot and be proactive in meeting those needs and translating those into healthcare outcomes, with appropriate boundaries of safety, of meeting the regulations and everything. I think that again underscores sort of our key point of in your governance, it is as important to have the voice of the customer engaged as it is to have operational leadership engaged.
Yeah, and I think what kind of also is to that point is the concept of delivering value incrementally. So
Hmm.
there are oftentimes we wait to release something, and certainly there are reasons to do that because of an impact to a clinical area or your registration or scheduling, which is understandable. But why hold back on delivering a feature or something that will give value to your consumer until we meet a very formal milestone on our Gantt chart? I know that's really uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable for me, but when you realize you're sitting back and you're not giving consumers something they want, where potentially another health system, another competitor, someone else in that landscape is delivering on that, kind of forces you to have that mindset. And so that's where, again, back to the point on that voice of the customer, the concept of value becomes key. And it's not something we expect people to grasp overnight. You have to kind of retrain your brain about thinking about what is the value. And if we can't state that, let's really think about why we're doing what we're doing, or are these the right features or elements of our digital strategy to be including. And I think one of those other pitfalls sometimes we have is that perfect is the enemy of good. And certainly, again, it feels odd to say in healthcare because there's so many risks that certainly we all understand the impacts of those, but there are areas where we may be able to afford to put out some different functionality when it comes to our mobile apps, websites, platforms, or we can again engage our cross-functional leaders and sponsors to understand where maybe we can push out something that's iterative effective, small impact, measure that, and continue to iterate on it. So I say all that because I understand this is a big shift in healthcare that in other industries it just doesn't feel as impactful. But I really do feel strongly and passionately about the more we can adapt some of these agile practices and mindsets, it really will help us accelerate elements of our digital strategy as a whole.
So it really is about building and strengthening the change muscle in our healthcare at a different pace than what we've done in the past.
Yeah, I talk about this a lot. I think we all have a change muscle, just sometimes it needs strengthened, and we have to work out just like we do again in our day-to-day life to maintain our health and well-being. But certainly through the pandemic and everything we've seen evolve here, everyone's been been tried and asked to flex their change muscle or to build strength there. And so I really do feel this is a time when it comes to digital strategy and broader digital transformation to organizations to tap in and harness as much of the power you can that folks are comfortable with change today and use that as momentum to propel your digital strategy. Again, we know folks are burnt out, but there's no
Mhm.
better time than now. We know we were facing significant gaps and being behind in many ways. And so if we can again just think through that change muscle, think about who are those folks in your organization that can help to build and strengthen that across the board, it can really help to lead to the transformation that we all know we need to see.
Absolutely. Well, I know you've heard me say this before, but I genuinely mean it. This is an exciting time to be part of healthcare industry. It is time of change. It is time of challenges, but it is something that excites me, and it certainly inspires me. And I look forward to being part of this journey with our clients, and being part and bringing solutions to the table. So I'm quite excited. And Sarah, I thank you so much for participating in The Verge. I so value and always enjoy these conversations with you. And to our listeners, I hope you have found these conversations helpful. Please don't forget to check out our article Sarah and I have co authored on digital ecosystem, summarizing our take on best practices that can be leveraged to build and optimize digital strategy for your organization. You can find the link to the article in the show notes here. I want to thank you for tuning into Verge, a thought leadership series by Divergent. We at Divergent are your partners on your journey to digital transformation and all the pivots and challenges the industry is going through. Join us again, wherein we continue our deep dive into current trends and actionable strategies for navigating the journey to digital transformation with our industry thought leaders. Until then, have a great day and stay safe.